What is up, gamers? Today we're going to be taking a look at two insanely rare, insanely cool DS consoles, and we'll be repairing them and modding them for my customer here. Our DS Lite is a special edition Giratina DS Lite. It was only ever released in Pokemon Center stores in Japan. This guy has a broken hinge. That's pretty much all that's wrong with him. We'll get him cleaned up too. He has some dirt in the corners inside of the console there, so we'll get him cleaned up as well. So we'll be fixing that hinge. And the second console here is a limited edition Mew original DS. This thing is so cool. It's such a pretty pink color. Pretty pearly pink. It looks so nice. I love it so much. This DS is so cool, and when light is shining at the right angle, this Mew is like pink. Cannot wait to get these fixed up. So this guy, he works well, but my customer wants it to have the same 4 levels of brightness as the DS Lites do. So that requires a little bit of modding here, which I will do. I'll show you exactly how to do that. So first and foremost, let's get started with this Mew DS here. So to get the OG DSs modded to the point where they have the same brightness levels as the DS Lite, you gotta first take off the battery cover, remove the battery, and in this little hole here, there's going to be a number. Now this one says 01. See in there it says 01. It's pretty dark. In order for it to be able to be modded to have the same brightness levels as the DS Lite, it needs to say 20. So here I have a motherboard right here that we can see says 20 right there. So I'm going to be swapping this motherboard into this DS Lite, and then we can mod this board to have the same 4 levels of brightness as the DS Lite. So let us begin by taking these screws out here. Alrighty, this screw here is rusty, so we will not be using him. I will replace him with a screw that is not rusty. So we'll put this guy off to the side. And now that all those screws are taken off, we can just lift this up. Very clean. This DS is amazing. I've never seen one of these Mew DSs before in person, so this is just amazing. I love it. Get these shoulder buttons taken out, and now we can disconnect all of our cables and all of our ribbon cables. I'm wearing gloves, so I can't just get my nail under there, as I normally would. Alright. Open up these connectors, and then we'll get the ribbon cables on out. Just like that. And now our ribbon cable that goes to the top screen chip can get him out. So now we got 4 Phillips screws here on this board that I'll take out. And just like that, we should be able to lift up our board, and he's free. So I'll definitely use this for a DS repair in the future. It's a perfectly working board. It's just not moddable. Here is our moddable board. Gotta line up these ribbon cables first. And now we can get our Wi-Fi antenna cable out like that. Our digitizer cable did not sneak through. There he is. I may need to take my gloves off at a certain point. This is really challenging. I'm wearing double gloves. I don't know if you can tell. So my dexterity is greatly decreased. We'll see what I can do though.
2,000
There's the backlight cable.
years.
And there's our digitizer cable. Close those clamps. Now we can get this guy open and get our bottom LCD connected. Make sure he's in there all the way, and then close the clamp. Voila! Now we'll get our top screen cable connector connected into the connector. See, I'm connecting it right now. Into the connector it goes. Man, I'm really missing my fingernails right now. I'm not cheating, I don't know what you're talking about. Alright, so that's in. Now I'll close the clamp, and before I even plug that in, I'm just going to put the battery up to the contacts to make sure the screens are fully in, and that it works a-okay. Hey guys. Yeah, these screens are about to be a lot brighter, that's for sure. Make sure the volume works. Sounds like it works to me. Digitizer works, so that's excellent. Let's get this cable in here plugged in. So we can get this guy set in. Voila. And number 2. Mr. L. L shoulder button. That's because he's L. That's the L button. Not because he's a loser, guys. Let's get these 4 screws in. Alright, that screw just went flying. Screw number 2. Number 3. And we got number 4. Perfect. So now we can drop this plate back on. We don't need to have it opened up at all to mod it. And now I'm going to get all of these screws in. Alright, so now what we need to do to mod this DS to give it the brightness levels that we want, we get an R4 card, and on it we download Flash Me. You can get that online. Gonna pop this in. And now we need a little piece of foil that's like this, crumpled up a little bit. And underneath this water indicator here, I'm going to gently pry it up so we can replace it. Underneath this here is something that we need to bridge to flash the DS, to mod it essentially. So you see there's something down in there. We got to bridge those 2 points, and that's exactly what this foil is for. So stick it down in there, and then I'll shove it in. So that's what I'll do. So now let's get our battery hooked up. Gonna turn it on, and I'm gonna plug it in. So what plugging it in does, because you need the battery door open because you need access to this. So if your DS gets bogged and for some reason the battery falls out, it will stay turned on because it's plugged in even though the battery falls out. So this is a big safety measure when you do this. Definitely want to keep it plugged in at all times. We can see the screens are a little buggy. They're a little flashy. You can see horizontal lines on the bottom screen when I do this, for example. So we'll need to adjust the potentiometers for the screens. And okay, first, I am going to change the potentiometers before we mod the DS, just because it's going to look a lot nicer once it's fixed. So this potentiometer is for the bottom screen. The bottom screen is the one that's looking the worst right now. So I'm going to put the screwdriver in and just slowly turn it until it is better. I think it's hard for the camera to pick this up. But there we go. Bottom screen looks amazing, and the top screen actually does not look bad whatsoever. So I'm going to leave the top screen, and let's load up our R4 cartridge. Now, I already have a bunch of games on here that I rightfully own for legal reasons. Okay, so Flash Me, here we have Stealth. So there's 2 different versions of Flash Me. One is Stealth and one is regular. The regular one gets rid of the startup animation screen. My customer would prefer it to not look so modded, so we are retaining the startup animation screen. So Flash Me Stealth is what we'll be installing since it retains the startup screen. So here it is. So this is where we need the foil. And it wants you to hit XB to continue with the installation. Okay, so now you hear the beeping. So we want to hear the beeping go fast. So I'm going to plug this in here. See, it's going fast and the progress is going up. That's because we're currently bridging those 2 points. Just got to keep it bridged. If you unbridge it, then it'll just pause until you rebridge it. But okay, we're completed. We're now safe to turn the DS off. The only instance in which your DS will become bricked is if it loses power during the installation of Flash Me, which it's obviously, like I showed you earlier, if you leave it plugged in, even if the battery manages to fall out, you'll still retain power. So, but okay, now we can turn it off. We have installed Flash Me, so let's turn it back on. So we see the brightness is low. Man, look at that, dude. That's a night and day difference. Awesome. So when you install Flash Me on these systems, it gets rid of the ability to turn off the backlight altogether, which is a little unfortunate, but being able to make your DS screens as bright as the DS Lite, it makes these systems so nice. I'm telling you, so nice. Get this back in place. And just like that, we have a modified DS. I'm going to pop a DS game in, and I'm going to pop a GBA game in, just to make sure that it can read DS games A-OK. And look at that again. DS games and GBA games. We'll launch it. Works great. Our customer also ordered a white stylus to go along with the DS, since theirs was missing. So I'm going to test all of the buttons. I'm going to get the touchscreen calibrated, make sure everything works A-OK. And just like that, guys, I think the touchscreen works pretty great too. You know what I'm saying? Another absolute beauty. This DS just looks so, so cool. We're going to get rid of this nasty crack in the hinge. pretty floppy. Not supposed to be floppy. I don't know if you guys have known that, but it's supposed to be tight. So I'll get the inner top shell piece here swapped with this one. I found one that is pretty much identical. So first and foremost, what I like to do, a lot of people don't do this first, but what I like to do is I like to get these rubber pads off. So these inner shell pieces are identical to white DS's, so I am going to get this one scuffed up a little bit, but that's because we are reusing these white pads, and I want these white pads to be in as best shape as possible. So I'm going to repeat that. This, to me, is the most nerve-wracking part because, I mean, well, for one, it literally damages the shell. I mean, well, it's already damaged, so that really doesn't matter. But for two, I just don't want the rubber pads to be damaged whatsoever. Looks like these tweezers were one and done. Okay, there we go. That's all good. We got those 4 rubber pads. So now I'm just going to remove these screws while we're here, and then we can start disassembly from the bottom of the console like normal. So we're going to remove our special GBA slot cover. Look how sparkly, dude. Look how sparkly. It's so cool. Remove these rubber pads. Like that. Now we can get rid of the battery cover, which of course is also sparkly. Let's get our battery out of here. And let's undo these screws. Okie dokels. Now we can pry this plate off, just like that. And now I'm going to get these shoulder buttons out, and then before we go further, I'm going to clean up all that nasty dirt that we saw before. That has been racking up for all these years, so we can see the dirt. Look at that. Out of here, man. Men? Guys? Alright, that's all cleaned up. That looks looking fantastic. So now I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom plate here. We can see there's some dirt in there. I want to be very gentle because sometimes the clear plastic on the edges of this piece, sometimes they can crack and break and snap off. We definitely don't want that. So we're going to be going carefully. That's good. We'll set him off to the side. And now we may continue our disassembly process. We're going to get this guy 100% disassembled so that we can replace that outer piece that I talked about before to fix the hinge on this guy. When a hinge breaks on the DS Lite, it is rarely ever because of the actual metal hinge piece itself. It is 99 times out of 100, it is the piece that houses the hinge right here that ends up cracking, and that releases pressure on the hinge, which allows the hinge piece to just roam freely without being held tight. So that is why hinges on DS Lites go bad. That's why if you drop your DS and it gets cracked there, the hinge will become weak because the plastic around the hinge is no longer strong and tight around it. Okay, so now we can lift up on the board here and get our top screen disconnected. I'm not cheating. I'm literally not cheating. Sometimes you just can't beat that thumbnail, dude. Get that out. So here is our bottom LCD and our motherboard. So I'm going to keep the buttons in place. And I'm going to plug the digitizer back in because we actually don't even need to disconnect it. Unless you're doing work on the digitizer or replacing the bottom screen, you never need to disconnect that, and this you can leave them connected. So one thing, we can see there's a lot of grime built up on these golden contacts, so what I'm going to do to fix that, if you're a long-time viewer, you already know, Dremel time. I'm just going to Dremel off all of these contacts here. It basically makes them work like new. It does not get rid of the gold plating. It does not damage anything whatsoever. It only renews them and makes them work literally like new. Alrighty, once they are sanded, clean and wipe them off. It ain't the prettiest fix, but I'll tell you, it will work like new now. So now we can set our motherboard assembly up to the side for now. We will have to repair the L and R buttons because those need fixed, but let's continue our focus on this part of the DS. We'll get these 2 screws out. That will free up our hinge cover. So now we can get our hinge cover out of here. We will reuse the old hinge so that it feels exactly like it did before the hinge ever broke. And we'll get this piece free. Alright, set this shell plate off to the side for now. And now that I already removed these rubber pads and that I already removed the screws, we can just slide him up. Oh, this is difficult with my gloves on. And then pry him up. Here is our special shell piece here. So we want the top screen free. And everything else we need to get out of here. So there's our Wi-Fi antenna. This is our microphone cable. Want it to get out of here. There he go. And last but not least, our top screen. I may need to take my gloves off for this, because I can barely feel what I'm doing. Oh, we good. We good. Alright, so this plate, goodbye. You have lived a nice life, but you became cracked, and you're now useless. Get out of here. Alrighty, so now we have our top screen out. So, we are ready to simply bring in our replacement plate. We'll get this hinge out of here, because like I said, I want to use the original hinge, so that it feels exactly like it did before the hinge was broken. Get that in place. As we see, the hinge is nice and strong, exactly what we want. Got to get our top screen back in here. Again, I might not be able to do this with my gloves on. But I will try. Oh, wow. Okay. He's in there, that's good. So now we get our microphone cable back in and our Wi-Fi antenna cable back in. And we gotta route the cables properly. We can get our Wi-Fi antenna cable in. Boom, buddy, boom. Just like that. Make sure it is routed properly, and then that's all there is to it. We flip our top screen down, make sure it rests in place, and it does. These speaker wires are still routed. Gotta lift up this sticker. Okay, well maybe they're not as routed as I believed they were. Lift this sticker up so that we can... Alright, yeah, we'll need to get this sticker up as well. And then we can drop him in place. Make sure his cables are routed properly. There we go. Now, one thing before I put our Giratina plate back on, I'm going to clean up this shell piece here. Already looks like it's insanely clean, but who knows, there could be a layer of dirt hiding that we can't even see. I'm going to do the same thing for our Giratina plate, just very lightly and gently. Now our top screen cable, we want to pop out like that, and now we are ready to pop this plate on. Bam, bam, just like that. Looks good to me. So now we connect this plate. Get those wires on through, and now we need to fish our top screen cable through the slit. This is doing it backwards. I like to do it this way so that I can keep the buttons connected. Just like that. Now we got our hinge cover. Put it on. And now we can get these screws in place. Now we can open... Oh, alright, I kind of forgot about that for some reason. Let's get these buttons back in, guys! I'ma clean it up. I'ma cleaning it up. Getting so clean. We'll check the D-pad as well. Get them in place. So now, the next step is to route our white mic cable. So right there. Right there. In there. And now we are ready to get the motherboard back in place. Make sure the clamp here is up. And then make sure the clamp is down. Now we can drop it in place. Plug our mic cable in. Alright, and now we'll get our motherboard screws in and test the DS. Make sure it works. Plug our Wi-Fi chip. We'll route the Wi-Fi antenna cable after we test. Turn it on. Open it up. Oh yeah, look at that, dude. Touchscreen works. Okay, so there's one thing that I pretty much forgot. In the bottom screen here, there are a couple of specks of dust that are very apparent when it's on. That bright white speck right there, and then another one is right here. So those both are underneath the digitizer inside of the screen itself. So I'm going to take these things back out, undo these screws. Let's get this guy up, and then we can get our LCD out. So first and foremost, get my spudger and pry here between the LCD and between the digitizer. I'm going to do the same over on this side. Okay, so I'm going to try to see if I can find... Okay, so one of the specs is on the digitizer. One of the specs is on the LCD. So I'm going to pry it up enough to hold it open on both sides. Now I'm going to hold it open enough so that I can get these tweezers in here. Absolutely not scratch the screen. But typically these dust specks will cling to my tweezers, and then I can just pull them out very carefully. Okay, just like that. The dust is out. Okay, that looks really good. So now we can bring our assembly back over. Get our bottom LCD plugged in. For this, I need my thumb. There we go. Flip our board, and we can get our digitizer cable plugged in. Mic cable. So now we can get these two motherboard screws back in. There's one, and there's two. So now let's get this chip plugged in, and once again, I'm going to test, make sure everything works, and I'm going to especially check to see that there is not any dust particles that we can see in either of the screens. Oh man, there's nothing, dude. Crystal clear. Crystal clear. We are ready to fully assemble. So now we'll take this chip back out again so that we can get this guy underneath the cartridge port.
Nice.
Make sure he's routed properly, and now we can get our chip plugged back in. If I can firmly grasp it. Now I'll hold that in place while I get this end of the cable into the chip. It's over top our foam pad here. We don't want that. Now it is under our foam pad. Alright. Now we got our shoulder buttons in place. Gonna make sure this guy is routed all properly. There we go. Okay, that rod was just like, nah. I've been thinking this entire time. I've been recording for an hour and 13 minutes now. I've been thinking this entire time that I'm eventually going to need to take my gloves off. But I'm so close to the point to where it's like, why? Like, I'm almost done. Alrighty, we got to get our volume slider back in our bottom plate here. Make sure it's set all the way down. Make sure this is set all the way down. Make sure the power switch is all the way down. And then this is it. This is it, guys. Bam. We on. Let's get these screws tightened down. Alrighty, guys. Let's get our battery in place. Make sure it all works great. Volume works. Top screen works. Oh, ugly. Ugly, bad, no good. It looks like our digitizer's a little bit crooked. We can see the black line here. It's thin, and then as it goes, it widens. So I got to take the DS back apart to fix that. So I'm going to finally go ahead and take these gloves off. Okay, man? Oh, yeah. Got this positioned so that it should not be crooked. Let's hook up a battery and see how it looks. We're totally good. It looks super crystal clear again, like it was before. Oh, I didn't even pay attention to how crooked it looked. There we go. No more crookedness. That's what we're looking for here. That's looking fantastic. Let's get our battery on and our battery door. And now I'm going to test the entire console. It looks so great, dude. Looks fantastic. All buttons feel super crisp and responsive. So now I'm going to get these 4 screws up here screwed in by the top screen. Alright, and now we can get our rubber pads all back on. There's 1, there's 2. You can see the sparkles on the top clear plate through the clear. I love that so much. This is such a cool special edition. Alright, all rubber pads are back in place. Let's give him a little cleaning here. Bam, bam. Look at that, dude. Works awesome. And our final touches. Bam. Bam. And let's make sure it can read games first try. Look at that, man. So good. Let's calibrate the touchscreen. Whoops. Alright, there we go. And just like that, we have a fully fixed, fully working, amazing, sick Giratina Limited Edition DS Lite with a sparkly Game Boy Advance slot cover. No more crack. Say bye-bye, shell piece. No more crack or cracks. And as we can see on the sides, it is clean, clean, clean. Here we have it, guys. Our fixed, sweet, rare, limited edition DSs from Japan. These guys only ever released in Japan. They are so sick. They work flawlessly. They look amazing. And they are ready to live their fresh second lives. Look at these screens. They're so bright. That's what it was beforehand. Can you imagine? That's what it was before. But now, so much nicer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe for more. It really, really helps out my channel grow. I've been working hard, doing my best to help it grow, so your support truly means a lot. And if you'd like to get any of these services done for your DS Lite, check out my website. There will be links to my website in the description. And just drop a comment. Let me know if you want anything done to your DS Lites. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.